the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest, 500K plus agency with two people, strategic marketing without the overhead, born on leap day with the unidentical twin brother. Interesting. Builder of a 17-year marketing agency that defies Silicon Valley logic and defender of the business mullet. The defender of the universe, rather than Mr. Joel Miller.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Welcome, Mr. Joel. Book one review, and can you please introduce more about yourself that I mess?
Yes, so my name is Joel Miller, and I am the co-owner with my identical Leap Day born twin brother, Alan, and we really focus on solving problems and producing outcomes for our clients. So we don't really niche down into specific industries. We've worked with so many different kinds of businesses and individuals, from business and personal coaches to people who manufacture pipe insulation shields. And we've done some work for some Fortune 500s as well, a tutoring company. I mean, basically, you name it. If we can help you get to a strategic outcome, we'll figure out how we can support you in doing that.
Yes, people name it and they have it all. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Joel. Thank you. And today let's talk about why your marketing agency our relationship is toxic and how to fix it now. Beyond a simple frustration, what are the definitive tangible signs that a client agency relationship has crossed from challenging into a genuinely toxic territory?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different way. We come into a lot of situations where a client is like, hey, we're in this relationship with an agency and we need help getting out of it because it's just not working anymore. And so I have this little top 10 list here that kind of describes some of the signs. So your agency relationship might be toxic if you feel like you have to hunt them down to get a reply or a deliverable. So anytime you're struggling to get something back from them, and you reach out to them and you say, hey, where is that thing? And then they ghost you, even if it's 4 or 5 days and they get back to you eventually, that's just a sign that things are starting to go south. Another one, you aren't excited to get a call or a pitch on a new project. It's time to touch base with them and you're just like, I'm not excited about this. It's going to be a waste of my time. That's probably a good sign that it's getting toxic. I think another one is you feel a constant general level of stress when it comes to the work that they do. Number 4 is if you are on a retainer, it seems like everything is nickel and dimed and upcharged. So if you are doing consistent work with them and every time you get an invoice, there's new line items that are surprises, you're probably in a toxic relationship with them. Another one, if they gaslight you, if they make you question whether or not you remember a conversation correctly. And then if they complain to you about other clients regularly, that one's a huge one. And we always tell people, hey, don't trash talk your clients in front of other people, because guess what? If they're trash talking the other client that they were just on to you, what do you think they're saying about you to the other people? I'm guessing it's not so great. Yeah, right. And you can interrupt me if you'd like to. I was going to go through this list and then we can talk through some of it. Yeah. If the feedback on calls is becoming harsh instead of honest. So obviously we want honesty in our partners in a agency relationship where they're trying to help you achieve your goals. But if it no longer feels like it might be a hard truth, but it's getting biting, it's getting insulting. And there's a little bit more going on underneath the surface. And then if they're keeping score, that's number 8. If you're always waiting for the scorecard to come out and show everything you've done wrong before, and you know that If you ask a little something more of them, they're going to say, well, we can't do that because remember that time? Remember when you did it wrong? then that's probably toxic. And on that same side of that coin, like the other side of that coin, number 9 is you're the one keeping score. If you want to have a healthy and productive work relationship, keeping track of wrongs on their side also is not going to help, because it's just going to start becoming tit for tat. And then finally, and I think this is maybe the most important one, they no longer amplify your strengths. So an outside partner is all about highlighting your current strengths and doing something that you cannot do yourself internally. But when the focus shifts only to the weaknesses in the relationship, it's probably turning toxic.
10 tips, Mr. Joel. Thank you, thank you. How can a client distinguish between their own internal organizational dysfunction, just like shifting goals, poor briefs, and an agency that is truly failing in its core responsibilities?
That's a great question. And it's one that can be really hard to parse out sometimes. But I think that it comes down to, if you're having your own internal dysfunction, right, the agency, a good agency partner, helps you unravel those things instead of adding to it. So the minute you get on those calls and they're getting sucked into the mess, instead of saying, raising their hand and saying, hey, we're noticing this pattern, it's not helping you and it's not helping this relationship. But instead they start throwing their own mud at the situation. They put their own spice in the mix. Then you know that it might be time to move on, even because, and granted, I mean, the agency should probably also recognize, if you're super dysfunctional, that it's time to move on. So it's a two-way street. I mean, that's, I think, one of the things that a lot of people miss. It's not just about this exchange of money. There's an actual value trade happening. There's a payment for a service. And really, like, we want to be in long-term partnerships, right, with our clients and be on the same team. And if you're starting to butt heads to the point where you're not on the same team anymore, it's not going to produce good work.
Yes, indeed. So let's talk about the financial toxicity, or toxicity is a huge stressor, Mr. Joel. What are the red flags on an agency's pricing, billing, or scope management that signal an misalignment of incentives rather than just a budget disagreement?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if an agency doesn't ask really good questions to figure out why you need what you need. So most of the time, right, like, someone comes to an agency and says, a client does, and says, I need a new website. I need someone to manage my ads. I need whatever, you name the list of things. We need new creative, a new campaign. And they may just think they have to do that because it's what's next. And if they don't have an idea of what they really want, then how can you possibly even price it? And so, from like drilling into that relationship more, if the agency is not asking good questions and figuring out what you actually need when you're hiring them, they're not going to be able to price it accurately. And so a lot of times what we see, I mean, that's like maybe the highest level. So to us, it makes so much sense to project price. We don't do any hourly billing. And we do that because we can ask the right questions and figure out what that result is going to be. How is the client going to profit from this relationship? And then we can price under, obviously, what they're going to make back from it. And so it becomes a no-brainer. As someone recently said, if you know that you can spend $500 and push a button and you make $10,000, how many times will you push that, right? Like, now let's just say that I can provide that $500 of work in an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is, right? Like, to me, I get to choose if it's worth it to me. So I'm profiting if I can do it efficiently, and so is the company if they're making a return on that. So to us, I think someone showing up and saying, here's how much we think it's going to cost, here's your estimate, and it's based on hours, and you might get some surprise invoices with those nickels and dimes being added up and tallied up, and sorry, the project cost just went up 40%. That's a sign that there's a misalignment happening. It's not going to be a good relationship.
Very well said, Mr. Joel. Very well said indeed. Yes, man syndrome versus strategic partnership. Many clients say they want a true partner, but then bristle at pushback. How does this dynamic create a passive or order taking agency that ultimately fails to deliver real value?
Yeah, I think that you're right. A lot of people do say they want a partnership, but then at the end of the day, they really would rather have someone they can write a check to and say, here's what we want you to do, produce it. We don't know how to do that, so just go ahead and make that thing for us. And you really become, and we've been in situations like that in the past, where you become a glorified button pusher. It's like I don't know. I mean, the rise of AI makes me think it's like maybe the original version of that, because you don't really want, or just computerization, like it's a human robot or something, right? Like, here, make me some Google ads, and then you start doing it, and they're like, no, not like that. Do it this way, or make me a new logo. No, not like that. Even though you told me why it should be, like, you're putting thought into this, we're putting thought into this. There's effort, there's strategy behind it, but then at the end of the day, they just want to tell you how to do everything. That is not a partnership. That is just I don't even know. It's you should probably be a manager at a McDonald's if that's the kind of relationship you want with the people you work with, who you pay, right? Like, and so I think that's a two-way street. Again, like, from the agency side, if someone's treating us like that, it's not going to last long, because it's not even interesting to me. Like, it's fun for about 2 minutes to make good work that I had no input on. I want to actually come in, get excited about what you're trying to accomplish, and believe in it on some level, and then do the work and the strategy with you, alongside you, to actually make that come to life.
Very well said again, Mr. Joel. So let's talk about the chemistry meeting mirage. Relationships often start with optimism, isn't it? What foundational misstep in the very beginning, during the RFP or onboarding, mostly reliably planned that seeds for future toxicity?
Mm. Yes, that's true. Those foundations can start right from the beginning, can't they? And
True.
we see that happen, in personal relationships. It happens in business relationships. So it's what seeds? I mean, I think it comes down to, well, okay, I'm gonna let everyone in on a little secret. Actually, that's something I do sometimes, just to see. And this might sound crazy to people, and now the secret will be out a little bit. Sometimes when I'm replying to a request for a proposal or a quote, I will tell a day that I plan to send it, and then I will send it a day late on purpose. Why? Because from my side, I'm testing. I want to see how they react to something that's imperfect. Because guess what? In the relationship, both sides are going to do imperfect things. There needs to be a certain amount, and that's a partnership again. That's a relationship. Now, it can't be infinite, right? You don't want someone who always delivers late, especially when it's critical. It can't be, and it's just like I don't want a client who always pays late. So it can't be infinite, but there has to be a little bit of grace and friendliness kind of built in for it to be a partnership, for it not to turn toxic. So for me, sometimes I throw out a little test at the beginning and see, all right, how do they handle that? because it's going to tell me if we're set up to be on a team together because we're a bunch of humans working together, or if they're going to view it as, hey, look, look, dude, I'm going to pay you and you better do everything exactly perfectly all the time or I will jump on you. So I think right from the outset, it's good to be aware of the little signals. If you want to steal my little tests, I think no business coach will ever tell you to do that, but it's sometimes worked to weed out some clients that I think wouldn't have been good fits for us.
Definitely. So, Mr. Joel, as an entrepreneur, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Ooh, I mean, short-term goals are always, I think, it's just what's right in front of me. So we have ongoing clients that we're serving. We have some projects we're finishing up. So my short-term goals are just to stay active in those partnerships and relationships, to execute well, to make sure that I'm not getting distracted by the next shiny new thing so that I can actually do that. But I think from a long-term perspective, my business partner, my brother and I, we are looking at how we can provide the same kind of value we have, but to even more people. And to us, that means we're still probably not going to hire employees because we've stayed just the two of us, 17 years, just the two of us, even though we've grown in the double digits percentage-wise almost every year we've been in business. So we're looking at how do we take what we've learned and make it reproducible and a little bit more scalable, but without just having and no offense to the course creators out there, but without just the next thing is, all right, I'm going to make a course on how to run an agency. Or I don't know so we're exploring that. How do we do that? How do we serve more people with our knowledge and expertise in a way that's scalable even beyond two people's time without hiring employees? Because that's a value of ours to keep lean and small on that front.
Certainly. So good luck to your goals, Mr. Joel, and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be entrepreneur like you?
I would say start today. If you have the entrepreneurial bug, do whatever you can to start today. Take a step towards it. Read that next book. Reach out to someone you know who's doing something kind of what you want to be doing, and ask them if they will mentor you and speak into it. The longer you plan, now planning's good, but the longer you sit there and try to plan what you're going to do and make it exactly perfect, the more time it is until you've actually done any of it. And so I think I see so many people put roadblocks in front of themselves because they want everything to be perfectly aligned. They want, next quarter where there's going to be less work at my main job, whatever it is. I have a young child right now, they say. And so maybe when they're a little older, but then the second child comes. The reality is that today is the best day to take the next step towards what you want to do. And sometimes that means just counting it down when you're laying there in bed thinking about pressing that snooze button and jumping out of bed and standing next to it and going, all right, go. Just tell yourself to go. Use that extra time to start building towards your dream, whatever it is. And I think that you won't regret taking the chance.
Certainly, for sure. And thank you for that advice, Mr. Joel. So can you please recommend a book or books that influenced you, Johnny?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I guess I'll build right on that last sentiment. One book, I think it might have come out last year or the year before potentially, but it's called $1 Million Weekend by Noah Kagan, who is the founder of AppSumo. If you're familiar with that, that's the online marketplace where you can get lifetime deals usually for business software. And it's a great place to find a great deal. But he talks about his entrepreneurial journey, and one of the And it's funny because like I read this, we've been co-founders in another startup that was sort of like a Yelp competitor, and that sold. We've done a bunch of entrepreneurial things. I helped run start and run my wife's photo business, and I got her up to over 100 weddings photographed in just under 5 years, and we had 600 leads on that resulted in those. So I've done a lot of entrepreneurial things, and yet reading this book inspires me every time I thumb through the pages. And his main idea is that you can come up with $1 million idea this coming weekend, but you're going to actually test the idea out and see if there's a market for it. How? You're going to find people you know, or someone you know who knows someone you know, but who's interested in the idea you have, the thing you want to sell, and you're going to pitch them on it. And not only are you going to pitch them on the idea, you're going to ask for money up front. So you got to cut your teeth at selling your idea. You got to see if it's actually valuable to someone. And if it's not, right, like you're like, would you pay $50 for this? I mean, I don't know what the idea is. Maybe it's worth $500. But then they're like, I don't know. All right, well, what would you pay for it? So you get to test it real time. Get some buy-in up front before you even start making anything. And it's real-time market research. And I just love that idea. I think that it gets my brain thinking. I've actually done that a little bit with some little side projects that we've had where I go around and I ask, all right, would you be willing to put up money for this today? I'm going to develop it later, and it's very, very revealing. So I think that's a great read. Grab it. I think it's on Amazon and everywhere else you can get books. And if you want to start your entrepreneurial journey, it's going to be a good Kickstarter for you.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Joel. So let's talk about the ethical obligation to walk away. Sometimes the fix is to end it. What are the signs that a relationship is irreparably broken, and what is the professional, respectful way to disengage without burning a bridge?
Yes. I will start by saying that I've learned this one the hard way, because when we were much younger, in our mid-20s, so this is probably 2 years into the business, we had a relationship with a client that went south, and you kind of assume, especially the younger you are, I think, that everyone knows what's happening. And so I'm going to tell you my don't do it my way story, which is that we didn't like how things were going. We felt like we had communicated clearly, but looking back, I know I didn't, because I've matured a lot. And so we sort of just kind of ended up ghosting that client until, which I would never do now. So I'm being really vulnerable and honest here with a story from the past, until they kind of reached back out, and then it was a little bit, not like aggressive or angry, but there was a little bit of like I'm going to just dump this all via email on you. And at the end of the day, they wrote back and said, I had no idea any of this was happening. So what did I learn from that? And what have I carried into the relationships I have now? If something needs to be defined, one, you've got to communicate, and you got to do it like as soon as possible and as often as you can, so that there's gotchas, not so you can trap them, but so that when the time comes to actually walk away, that you've done the work to try to make it work, instead of just throwing a pipe bomb on it and watching it explode. It's not good. It's not going to be a good reputation for you. And so communicate what's happening in little ways. And then if it still is a problem and it becomes an issue, then you can clearly say, hey, I have expressed this. This really isn't working out, and we need to move on. But, and this is a huge one, because we've done this. We've had clients, we had one client leave our services, and then because they wanted a bigger agency experience, they were at an inflection point, they were growing. And so they left our 2-person team to go to a 20-person team. a year and a half, 2 years go by, and I get an email, hey, do you have time to talk on the phone? And they say, we don't know why we ever left. Can you do these things they're doing? And we're like, yeah, we do all that stuff. You didn't, it just didn't come up before. And so they came back, and we've been working with them for 4 years now since then. And it's been one of our most successful client relationships. But all that to say, when you're leaving a relationship, either direction, be as helpful as you can. So even if you're the one walking away, if you're the agency, you're me, and you need to end it, say, this is over, but I will support the transition to whoever's next. And I think that can be a little counterintuitive to people. I've seen a lot of just burn the bridge and walk away, but you stay firm, say this is not working, but assist, be helpful and not hurtful. And you'll see that those people they'll recommend you to anyone they talk to, even if you're not working together. It'll be a net benefit to your business.
Well, thank you for that empowering answer, Mr. Joel. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in 6th season, Abstract Poetry in 3rd season, and my book 101 review in 6th season as well. Comedy 101 in its 4th season, and my Food 101 in 6th season as well. Geography 101 Love Letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101 our 5th season, Science 101, Sex 101 in its 4th season, Spiritual Awakening 101, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, my Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcast. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Joel, for the marketing director or CMO listening who is in the middle of a toxic relationship and feels stuck, what is the first single action step you would tell them to take on Monday morning to start changing the dynamic?
I think it would be to call it out. It's simple, but it's amazing how much passive aggression ends up in business relationships, just like they do in sometimes people's personal relationships. So, and that again, that doesn't have to be, it's not an accusation. So maybe the best thing you can do if you find yourself in these situations a lot and you don't know how to navigate it is probably honestly pick up a book on interpersonal relationships and apply the same thing you would apply to a friend or to your spouse and figure out how to communicate without accusing and be honest. And then if it doesn't change, be ready to walk away and find a new partner.
Honesty is the best policy, people. Mr. Joel, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, see if you can visit us online at theskyfloor.com. And there you'll find some information about who we are. You can check out the blog and subscribe when I post new content. And if you'd like to start a conversation, there's a little Calendly link, and I would love to talk with you.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Joel Miller, because if you support him for sure, more and more empowering business like this to rise. So I have one more question. Mr. Joel, the ethical obligations to walk away. Sometimes the fix is to end it, and sometimes we need to say goodbye. How would you relate to a customer that is struggling for this situation?
I think that, so what's the best way for the customer to walk away from the agency? Yeah.
Yes.
I think that again, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? Like if you can be honest and then draw some boundaries. I mean, you're probably going to have to say, here's how, set out a timeline, say this is how this is going to end, and this is what we need from you. Hopefully they're the type of agency that will actually be helpful kind of how I was describing, and help you through that transition, and then that sets you up to make new connections that will hopefully help you achieve your goals.
Very well said, Mr. Joel. And looking forward for our episode on abstract essay. Keep up the good work. Let's empower people all over the world through your business. So, Mr. Joel, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome, people. See you soon.